live. Awesome. Actually, sounds pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Portland, Oregon's own Kayfabe Kommandos.
We're back.
I'm Bern, that's Lloyd.
Hello.
Turn the music down a little bit. We had a big weekend in wrestling, didn't we, Lloyd?
We did. The pay-per-view was fantastic. I want to start off by saying that, but obviously we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, definitely one of the best pay-per-view outings from the WWE. And, I almost, not in a while, other than Mania itself, But then again, you're always going to get the big money pay-per-view out of Mania every year.
It was a good one. And what we're going to do tonight is quickly get through SmackDown, because it was a good SmackDown, but there wasn't a whole lot that really happened. Lloyd's got some notes, and we'll touch on those. Right from there, we'll go straight into the pay-per-view itself, which was glorious.
Yes, it was.
It was really good. And then talk about everything that happened on Raw last night, because it was pretty much the best episode of Raw in some months, too. I mean,
yes,
besides the WrestleMania Raws and the ones that were happening after the Rumble, probably the single best episode of Raw that I've watched in the last couple of months, for sure. All right. Let's begin Friday night SmackDown. Lloyd, what do we start out with?
Well, actually, SmackDown started off with a promo from Raw the previous Monday, where Johnny Ace receives the note from the board of directors.
Oh, that's right.
Basically, making the stipulations for the match with him and Cena for the pay-per-view. Which we already knew were if anybody gets involved, they'll be fired. If Johnny Ace loses, he will be fired.
Right.
And they pretty much cut that in, and Raw officially starts out with Laurinaitis coming out to the ring, opening with his promo for the night about how he disagrees with the board of directors over the stipulations for the match, and thinks that it's unfair. And out of stupidity, is the only thing you can really think is he asked the universe for their support. They should speak out in how they feel that it's unfair. Also,
We all expected this from Laurinaitis, so I mean it's the same. Oh, I'm going to be super grandiose, and I'm going to kick your butt, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm the greatest wrestler ever, and then, at the last minute kind of snivels and whines. It's expected, but, it was still entertaining. It was a good promo.
Right, well, like I said, even still, Punk comes out, during the middle of this, basically, starts doing his thing, telling Johnny about, it was an abuse of your power. It was a disgusting abuse of your power, making a 7-foot giant beg for his job, on the show on Monday night. Basically, Johnny being Johnny turns around and makes a match between Punk and Kane for later on in the evening, and, Punk's like, that's fine with me. The difference between me and you, Johnny said, I'm a man, and I'm ready to face this challenge.
It was a good way to start off the night, definitely.
Absolutely. Like I said, after that cuts commercial, comeback, tag match between R-Truth and Kofi Kingston, taking on Titus O'Neil and the other guy, Darren Young?
Yeah, Darren Young.
Thank you, sorry.
The Primetime Players, which we neglected to mention their match last week when we recorded the show. It was like when I was listening to it again, I'm like, we didn't touch on that. Really, these guys, and I would have mentioned it last week, and I'll just put it out there real quick. For my money, probably the most impressive tag team that's not the Usos and not, Primo and Epico, that are brand new dudes just coming out of NXT and on Superstars. They've been really solid on both of those shows, and it's nice to see them actually perform at a level with some real serious wrestlers lately. It's been cool. The Primetime Players, I'm all in.
Yeah, they're pushing them hard, man. Somebody sees something in them. Again, I don't see it, not yet, maybe, but someone does, because they're getting that push.
Well, and I think they're getting the push, and this will be my last point. They're getting the push because they act like a tag team. They play off of each other really, really well. They wrestle like guys who have been wrestling together for years. And it's one of the things that, you don't get with a Tyler Rex and a Kurt Hawkins. You kind of get with Epico and Primo. You kind of get it with Camacho and Hunico. But they're wrestling on the level with guys like the Usos and with Swagger and Dolph Ziggler. It's refreshing.
Well, regardless, Truth and Kofi get the win on that. But I mean, again, you don't want to put these guys over your tag champions, especially right before a pay-per-view.
And it was a really good match. Truth really, really. I mean, he set up the win for that match perfectly. Set Kofi up to rain down his Some SOS.
Yep, Trouble in Paradise.
Trouble in Paradise.
And let's not forget Little Jimmy. I like to give Little Jimmy his credit because he's part of that team.
He is. He is the forgotten third member.
Anyway, they quick cut to Zack Ryder getting ready to start his little tirade of Z True Long Island stories when he's interrupted by Damien Sandow.
That was actually really. I've been waiting for that.
Yeah. Oddly enough, so that didn't even lead to that. That actually led to the next match, which was Sandow versus Yoshitatsu. Or Damien Sandow just comes out, gave his usual speech that he gives, telling the universe that they're the ignorant masses, and that there's not like last week. This is an opponent that's worthy of him, So he's not even going to take the match. So as he turns around to head back up the ramp, Yoshitatsu calls him a chicken. Mm-hmm. Like in Back to the Future 3.
Yeah.
You don't call Marty McFly yellow. I guess you do not call Damien Sandow a chicken because. He turned around, hightailed it back into the ring, and he squashed Yoshi. I mean, he did
it in glorious pink onesie shorts.
It was funny because actually, I think I turned for a second and I was like, "Who just jumped in the ring?"
I know, right?
But like I said, quick squash match. Like I said, and I've mentioned this before. Like, I want to see that guy wrestle.
I do too
because the gimmick that he's got is just so.
It's a classic gimmick.
I absolutely, but it's a cross between him. It's a cross between the Genius and Mike Knox, who they just had not that long ago.
Right.
But if you're going to do that, why not have just kept Mike Knox?
Well,
who actually I thoroughly enjoyed.
Mike Knox was great. I'm looking forward to Sandow doing his thing against, an Alberto Del Rio or maybe a Ted DiBiase. That'd be awesome to see.
That would be good. DiBiase should be coming back pretty shortly. I could definitely see that.
I liked seeing Sandow in the ring though, instead of bitching out like the last couple of weeks.
Right. Anyway, from there they cut to a backstage interview with Matt Stryker. They got with Sheamus and Orton together, and it was the usual. You've seen it before. The two faces that are facing each other in the match are kind of showing respect, but being very sarcastic as to what they're going to do to each other, and it's just like a very tough guy face promo,
You wouldn't expect anything less from these two. I mean, Sheamus, he's always going to put his finger right in your chest, and Orton's going to get his viper face right up in front of yours and go,
Orton but the worst was he had the total end of it was just the nice guys finish last night. Right. Like, I've been a nice guy too long. I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen here? Almost making you think, no matter what, Orton will stab Sheamus in the back at the drop of a hat, but...
Well, he's the Viper. He hears the voices in his head.
Next up was Zack Ryder versus yes himself, Mr. Daniel Bryan.
This was a surprising match. I did not expect to see this pairing.
No, actually, the match was a good match. You got to see Zack Ryder actually wrestle a little bit, which most people forget he can do.
He can.
He's not fantastic, but he can definitely have a good 15 to 20 minute wrestling match. And as you know, Daniel Bryan could probably go 3 hours straight and make a broom look good.
The thing about Ryder, and he's got the same type of thing. The reason I like Ziggler so much is that he might not be the best wrestler in the world, but he can sell his moves. He can sell hits like nobody else does, and that's really all we're looking for. He's got a few more years before he's real super duper star potential, but he's showing us right now that he can go up against guys like Bryan and hold his own.
Very true, but again, I still think that they're burying him. After everything they started to put into Zack Ryder, I think they've put him on the back burner, and I think that ultimately that's just not going to help him.
Well, as long as I keep being able to watch, Long Island or Z True Long Island Story or whatever on YouTube every week.
Well, like I said, that's how he got over in the first place. I mean, if you've never seen those, go back and watch them. The first bunch before they got a popular thing are hysterical. There is wrestling, there is kayfabe jokes in there that are amazing. That like I said, I marked out for them, and that's pretty much why I started watching and enjoying Zack Ryder.
Overall, it was a good match, and
Bryan wins with the yes lock, but
how can you not?
From there was the pre-mentioned Punk versus Kane match, where Daniel Bryan came down to ringside for commentary. Good match. Punk and Kane kind of just pummeling each other. And Kane is
he's a consistent performer. He is always going to be one of my top favorites. He's fucking Kane. What else do you have to say? The shit explodes, everything goes dark, then you see fire, fog, he comes out, and he tears some assholes up. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter how big or how small they are. He is a consistent performer every single time we see him on TV. And I'm never going to get tired of it.
So regardless, this match boils down to this anyway. It wasn't about the match. It was about There was both Punk and Kane were outside of the ring, down. Daniel Bryan picked up a chair, hit Kane from behind. When Kane came to realize what had happened, it had made to look that Punk had done it.
Right. Basically, CM Punk had taken the chair and looked like he was trying to maybe go after Daniel Bryan, but Kane saw it and just basically pummeled the shit out of CM Punk with the chair.
Yeah. Anyway, from there, Cody versus Santino. Not much to say. Look, Santino wins with the weakest finishing move in professional wrestling, the Cobra.
I love it, though. We all have to have that guy.
Dude, he couldn't beat me with the Cobra. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
And that's saying a lot.
But, I like seeing Cody perform. I love seeing Santino perform, even if he does his silliest, stupid shtick the whole time. It's still a lot of fun to watch, and it's a lot of fun to see Cody Rhodes just do what he does. And that guy he's got another 20 years in him easily. I
have to admit, like I said, Cody Rhodes, he's really only been here for about 4 or 5 years now, and honestly, in the past year and a half, he's come a very long way. I mean, they put money in him. They send him to acting school and whatever it is they do when they want to really build somebody that they see the potential in, and it paid off. I would not have expected this Cody Rhodes a year ago.
Excellent stuff.
And from there they cut into a promo, pretty much just showing again Johnny Ace firing Big Show, the Big Show being on his knees apologizing, blah blah blah.
Same thing we saw earlier.
Absolutely, but here's the other one about it is that they threw in at the end of that everyone's tweet responses because they cannot stop talking about Twitter. Blah blah. Fuck it. Done. Match of the night, ending match, Sheamus versus Orton. Good match.
It was a really great match.
Back and forth all night. Missed RKO, missed bro kick, missed RKO, missed bro kick. Finally ends with Sheamus with a quick roll up.
Totally quick roll up out of nowhere. It was awesome.
And you can see, like I said, Randy Orton got up. Damn, knew it.
Offered the hand.
They shook the hands. And
then what happens?
RKO.
RKO. Vintage Orton.
What do you expect from the Viper?
I love it. And that's the kind of match. This is why I love SmackDown so much, is because they might take the time to go back and edit a few things here and there, but I'll be goddamned if that wasn't a perfect way to end that show, especially leading up towards a pay-per-view. And speaking of pay-per-views,
that brings us to the pay-per-view.
Holy shit. I actually did not watch the YouTube thing on Sunday. I didn't have the ability. Well, I wasn't in a spot where I could watch it, so.
I have to be honest, I did not watch that match either. Kane did win, which you called.
I did call that.
I did take Zack Ryder in that. But anyway, what was weird, though, the way the pay-per-view started off was literally, it just came on in the middle of a match. There was that unannounced Battle Royal where the winner faces either Cody Rhodes or Santino, their pick for the respective belts that would have been involved.
And the biggest surprise of that night was...
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Let's let everyone know who might not have seen it, who some of the contestants were. Because you did have Titus O'Neil,
right?
Darren Young, Great Khali,
yep.
Usos, Alex Riley.
That was cool.
No, I'll tell you what was cool. William Regal. I was stoked on that because I hadn't seen him in a while, and he's...
Well, you don't watch NXT, and him and Stryker are the hosts of NXT, and I do watch it every week, and it's good to see him, but he doesn't wrestle in NXT. He's just one of the hosts. He does a lot of stuff, like in-ring promo stuff, backstage promo stuff, but we haven't seen him wrestle in a while. I think the last time we saw him wrestle was at the Rumble. Wasn't he in the Rumble?
Yes, it was.
And what are they doing right now? A Battle Royal, which is basically the Rumble. And for anybody who doesn't know, and I don't think I've talked about it, that match, a Royal Rumble style, that type of match is my favorite type of match, hands down.
Over-the-top Battle Royals?
Over-the-top Battle Royals. I mark out harder than anything when I'm watching one of those matches, because it's anybody's game.
Well, like I said, then you started to allude to it. The biggest surprise of this match was Christian coming back.
That was glorious.
I am one of Christian's peeps. Love them.
I've been a Christian fan ever since the Brood. Edge and Christian and Gangrel, the cheesiest, stupidest stable ever. Which it lasted for a couple of years, but then him and Edge went on to do their own thing, and were probably the best.
I do believe that they were just ranked like the greatest tag team in WWE history. I don't necessarily know if I would agree with that.
I wouldn't agree with it, but I'll be goddamned if they aren't the greatest of their generation.
Absolutely. I could definitely agree with that. Them are the Hardys, honestly, just for what they've done, for what they've done, at least in the 2000s, at least from 2000 on.
Yeah, because you can't dispute Hawk and Animal.
No, absolutely, God, no. We'll talk about maybe next week. We'll do a quick segment on the greatest tag teams of all time.
That might not be a bad idea. So,
but anyway, long story short on that, Christian, The Miz, and Otunga, the last three contestants in the ring. Miz, Otunga, the usual. Let's quickly form an alliance. We'll take out Christian. Of course, doesn't work, and I'm very happy to say that Christian wins that match, and in a surprise turn of events, picks Santino to challenge.
At first,
but when we'll get there, we will get there. Next up was the Dolph Ziggler Jack Swagger match between Kofi and Truth for the belts. Very good match again. Four guys who have been wrestling each other a lot lately, whether it's in singles competition, tags, 6-man tags. It just seems that these guys have gotten to really work a lot together, and it's gelled into a very cohesive unit.
Truth looked amazing. That was probably the single best R-Truth match that I've ever watched him wrestle. And I've been watching that guy for years, coming up through basically nobody,
Well, I mean, you do remember he was K-Quick when he first started. Right. Came out with the Road Dogg. Then wound up in TNA, oddly enough, with the Road Dogg again, where it was just Ron Killings. Actually, just went by his real name when he was there. And then, again, I was completely shocked when the E brought him back, because that was someone who I never expected to ever see there again. I thought that they were on bad terms.
And when he came back, he was okay, and he basically just created this persona, and over the last couple of years has really done a great job of honing his craft and become a top-notch superstar wrestler. And this match showed you exactly what kind of a level he can perform at. And he's right up there with the Kofi Kingstons and with the Dolph Zigglers, as far as I'm concerned, is just solid in-ring skills.
No, absolutely. And, I thought that they were going to put those belts on Swagger and Dolph. They didn't. Kofi and Truth retain.
We both got that one wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like I said, I don't see where both of those teams need to be split up, because all four of them are better singles wrestlers as opposed to
I
being
wholeheartedly agree.
And you can do more with them. And like I said before, Dolph Ziggler is going to be one of the world champions before the end of the year. I predict it. I stand by it.
Well, when we'll get into it probably a little later with the announcement that they made on Raw, which was official, about what's going to happen on July 23rd. And I think that our predictions for splitting those guys up might come true once we talk about what's happening in July.
Right. Anyway, from there they cut to backstage where Eve and David Otunga are there with Tyler Rex and Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, with their people power shirts.
Yes. Where basically they give the assignment to go out into the audience and pull any signs from the audience that are anti-John Laurinaitis. Which, awesome. So now they're trying to work them into it, which is good, because, they need to have some more people.
I'm loving this whole good versus evil, old school, say they're the Legion of Doom to everybody else's Justice League at this point. They're just bad guys, and they're given license to go and grab signs and just be dickheads. And they cut to them a few times during the pay-per-view too, just tearing signs out of kids' hands and ripping them up. That was so great. You don't get to see that very often, just real heel, real bad guy action, actually interacting with the crowds. I loved it.
Awesome. Next up was the Divas Championship match between Beth Phoenix and Layla.
This kind of sloppy.
Yeah, it was real bad. I mean, Layla looked like she might have hurt her knee again.
Yeah, I was cringing the whole time because it didn't look good.
No.
Beth Phoenix was performing really well, but it looked like she was holding back. Layla had a hard time selling her moves. She just looked stiff, and it didn't look like the knee was doing so well. And she retained her title, but...
Well, I mean, even at the end of the match, she had there, you could see she was trying to take that brace off.
Just adjust it, make it feel a little more comfortable. It wasn't a pretty match, and I hope she's okay, because she's an excellent performer. I love her on the mic. She's beautiful. And, if anybody can give her a run for the money, really, it's Beth Phoenix, but it was just kind of I don't even understand why they did that match, because it just wasn't good.
They had to. They have to keep the Divas Championship at least in the public eye strictly for when Karma returns to claim what's.
I want to see another Diva Battle Royal for the belt. That's what I want to see.
Maybe
they've done it. I would love to see that. If she's performing that terribly in the ring because she's still hurt, that's probably the only way they're going to be able to get rid of it. Like, legitimately, because, you know, who are they going to have squash or Kelly again? You know, Natalya. I'd love to see Natalya with the belt. We haven't seen her on TV in weeks. Tamina, she's on NXT and she's on Superstars constantly. We've seen her maybe twice in the last couple of months on either Raw or SmackDown. Let's do something with some wrestlers that can perform instead of just handing the belt to a lady who's hurt and obviously can't work in the ring.
Understood. Like I said, again, I think they're just... we're covering way too much on this. She's just...
It just didn't look good. I feel bad.
We're done. Done.
All right.
Layla wins. Anyway, after that, backstage, Stryker and Orton doing a promo when Jericho conveniently interrupts. You know, pretty much talks about how he's going to win his 7th world title. You know, he's the typical best in the world at what I do speech. And, you know, Randy Orton, same, just turns it around. Yo, you're the best in the world at getting RKO'd. That's what you're going to be the best in the world at the end of tonight. And, you know, I love Jericho. You know it, and I know I've said it last week. Jericho is my favorite wrestler ever. But him coming back lately, has he won a match?
He hasn't won very many.
Yeah, I think he's done a lot of one match.
He's done a lot of interrupting and done a lot of really awful moves to people after the fact, and you know, getting on the mic and just I am the best at what I do. Well, I keep wanting to go that one step and like, you know, throw in the Wolverine thing. You know?
Right. Like, well, I definitely think he helped elevate Punk in promos.
In promos, but not during the matches, and that's what I'm disappointed about. You know, I think, especially after watching Raw, and we'll touch a little bit more on this, I think that we should have had Daniel Bryan and Punk at the last pay-per-view instead of the build-up for Punk and Jericho, even at WrestleMania. You know, it's just turning out to be a much better...
Last year was the gimmick pay-per-view, so
yeah.
might as well throw Jericho in there just because when you have to keep bringing back to an actual wrestling pay-per-view... might as well do that with Daniel Bryan instead of putting Daniel Bryan in a Chicago street fight.
No, it's true. It was anyway.
Like I said, after that next match was the Sheamus Orton, Del Rio and Jericho 4-way.
Best match of the night.
Great match.
Best
Absolutely
match
fantastic.
Of the night.
And it was great. Everybody got in their moves. Everybody, you know, 2 guys in the ring, 2 guys on the outside for 10 minutes. I mean, the match itself must have been a good close to half an hour.
I think it clocked in at about 35 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't time it,
right.
But I sat there, and yes, I am lame and domestic sometimes. I was sitting there folding my laundry while I was watching that pay-per-view, and I got through about 2 loads of stuff to fold, and that took about almost 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That was a solid match. Everybody performed to their potential. There was no real botched moves. Everything looked good. It was exciting. There was a good ebb and flow.
I'd like to point out that both of us called that match incorrectly also, because I took Del Rio, as did you.
I know. I saw it, but up until the very end, it could have gone to anybody. That was how well that match was done. There wasn't a clear winner up until that last volley, that last 30 seconds.
Right, but all right. What do you do with Sheamus from here?
Well, obviously, Sheamus is looking like him and John Cena are going to be buddies, and they're going to be the anti-people power. They're going to be, they're going to work this angle of this crew of guys that are getting shit on every single week, whether it's on SmackDown or on Raw, by Laurinaitis and people power. I mean, what else are they going to do?
Well, he is one of the champions, and like I said, not to skid ahead of ourselves, but they didn't advance him in any storyline as far as an opponent this week on Raw.
They didn't, but at the same time, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff right now that could go anywhere, and I kind of like that. I kind of like not knowing what's going to happen, but at the same time, it also kind of worries me.
Well, like I said, we'll get to it.
Sheamus retained his title. That's all I got to say.
Sheamus did retain his title, and I'm happy about that. But like I said, I really thought they were going to put that belt on Alberto Del Rio.
Me too.
After this, they quickly come back and they got the Miz in ring.
I was surprised. I didn't expect to see it against
Brodus Clay. Miz comes out and starts talking about, you call that dancing?
And I put my hands over my face. I'm like, oh my god, they're not gonna fucking do this again at another pay-per-view, another dance-off. They've done a dance-off every year on some pay-per-view for the last 3 years. And really?
Hey.
Really?
Everybody loves Michael Jackson.
Apparently Miz does too. And the only dance moves he knows are Thriller.
No, what did he did one or two other Michael Jackson moves.
Well, he started out doing the Smooth Criminal stuff, but then went straight into Thriller.
But, Brodus comes out, crowd pops like hell, man.
But the only faux pas of the night, production-wise, Miz's music was still going while the Brodus Clay stuff started.
True.
Which, I was like, really, guys? This is the pay-per-view. Somebody probably got reprimanded from the Gorilla Desk.
In what was probably one of the longest matches I've seen by the Funkasaurus.
Yeah, he actually wrestled.
He did?
And Miz took it to him. That's what I want to see out of Miz. If Miz is going to be not, in a title contention for anybody, I want to see him up against dudes like Brodus Clay. I want to see him and Ryback. I want to see him and Lord Tensai. I want to see him and R-Truth again, for fuck's sake. Even Del Rio. Like, Miz's matches with Del Rio, even though they're technically both heels and they've had team-ups in the past, they're great matches. They work well together. I was surprised. I didn't expect to see Miz on this card at all.
Well, I definitely didn't expect to see him lose to Brodus Clay.
Well,
I honestly thought somehow Brodus Clay was going to lose his first match. I really thought it was going to happen, but it did not. Brodus with the big splash and with the win.
That big splash is so awesome. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh shit, that's a big dude.
Brings the Funketeers in.
Funketeers, Funkadactyls.
Loves the kids. What can I tell you? Cody and Christian next. And actually, did we actually talk about the why Christian decided to face Cody?
No.
Okay, I guess I skipped over that in my notes, but. At one point, backstage stuff. Eve and Cody are back there, and long story short, Christian overhears Cody talking about how Christian should be glad that he didn't pick him to wrestle, and so boom, changes his mind. Anyway, great match, and Christian wins. First night back.
It was a great match. Christian performed the hell out of that ring. It was good to see him back. He looked pretty good. I'd say he's probably about 90%. He was favoring that arm a little bit throughout the match, I noticed. What do you think? Is he going to remain a heel, or is he going to be Mr. Christian Captain Charisma?
I think that they're actually going to bring him back. I think they're going to do a face turn on him.
Awesome.
And I think that's great. Because him as a heel is just...
I'm sick of the one more match shtick. I don't want to hear
I definitely don't want to see that. But I think he is a better face. At least he was. In TNA, he was a great heel. But again, that was something else where you didn't have the caliber of performer that you do in the E. So it was very easy. It was a lot easier for him to be heel there and get over. Here, I think he'd be it's much better.
And he's been a heel here for so long after Edge left that it's time for him to just be, him, Orton, and not really the Big Show anymore, but him and Orton are going to be, the faces of SmackDown, which is what I want out of Christian. He's got that. He's so talented, and he's been on that show forever.
Absolutely, but that's another guy. Do you really want to start to build your company around somebody who is in their last days? No matter what, Christian's, as great as he is right now, his best days are behind him.
He's going to get a couple more years, then probably retire, because he's hurt. He's going to perform at 90% for the rest of his career, if not less. But he's talented enough to be able to remain a face while they build up some of these other dudes that have been coming up lately. There's been a lot of signings. The big announcement about Raw that's coming up in July. I don't know what's going to happen with SmackDown, but man, he's got it in him for at least a couple of more years, and I'm glad for that.
Right. Like I said, congratulations to Christian. Like I said, that's really awesome.
Intercontinental Champion. I love that goddamn belt.
Yep.
I'm glad to see that they're giving it its due, with guys like Cody Rhodes and Christian, guys who deserve it, that can perform, and they're not, pushing it back. I love Santino, but who cares about the United States belt right now? Nobody cares. With Christian, they can make that belt important again.
Absolutely. From there, they go to a backstage interview with Josh Matthews and CM Punk, which I thought was a great interview, where Punk pretty just mentions, had you told Vince McMahon 10 years ago that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan would be in a match on your pay-per-view for the World Heavyweight Championship, Vince McMahon, and in a great Vince McMahon invitation, would have said two things. who the hell is CM Punk?
That was so
and
great.
Who the hell is Daniel Bryan? I thought it was great.
I laughed out loud.
But he spoke the truth. Like, here's a guy.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that I've known for 10 years. I've watched come up. We've traveled the same path. Blah blah blah. And in the middle of there, out comes AJ.
Which was completely pointless in the long run. I mean, I love seeing her.
See, actually, completely pointless in the short run because they're going somewhere with that AJ angle. That's gonna play out somewhere else. And like I said, I think it's more. She's gonna go nuts because now she's being rejected by Punk. Like I said, she was already losing it because she was being rejected by Daniel Bryan. But the Punk thing, you can see that now she's like vindictive. No, she doesn't want anybody to be like, oh no, you don't reject me. I decide what's gonna happen. But. Yes, in the short run, that proved having her there for that proved had no point last night whatsoever.
I don't remember seeing her at all on Raw the next night either. So
true. You know what? She was not. She was not on Raw the next night.
Just was completely unnecessary. I liked it because I like where they're going with her, but she didn't wrestle. She didn't even do any FaceTime on the camera at all the rest of the night or at Raw. We could have just done without it. It would have just been a great interview, just straight up without it.
Right, like I said, from there though into the match, the Daniel Bryan CM Punk match of the year contender. This match was absolutely fantastic. It was everything.
Another must have been 30 minutes.
It was actually longer.
Was it?
I forget what it was, but it was over 30. That match was incredible. It was everything I expected it to be. I
was kind of scared that because I've watched a lot of Ring of Honor lately, just downloading it just to re-familiarize myself with their style, and Ring of Honor is really fast paced. A lot of moves happen. The matches aren't super long. The guys are really really good at moving around the ring, and that's just what I don't like. They don't take their time very much, and pretty much it looks like all the dudes do the same moves over and over again to each other. Whereas I'm glad to see that despite that, Daniel Bryan has been able to establish himself with his own style based on that kind of wrestling. And to see CM Punk, at the top, he is absolutely soaring towards the top of. I don't think we've seen the best of CM Punk yet.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's amazing to see these two dudes come from that place and the independent circuit where the wrestling is fast and furious and it's flashy and huge. These guys really buckle down, take their time to perform, and make one of the best matches we've seen in probably the last 2 or 3 years, save for anything Undertaker's done.
But ultimately, that match ends with Daniel Bryan has CM Punk in the yes lock.
Yep.
He's got him. I mean, you can see.
He's got it.
Yeah, he's there. It's middle of the ring. He's got it.
Yeah.
Somehow, it's something which we've never seen before. At least I've never seen.
Nobody's done it.
Punk literally in a quick roll up.
He twists in kind of like a half roll and bridge and gets Bryan on his shoulders while Bryan's still doing the S-lock. The referee notices. 1, 2, 3.
Calls the match. Right as soon as that bell is rung, CM Punk starts tapping. Well, Daniel Bryan thinks he's won the match. Doesn't realize he had his shoulders down. And if you go back and watch the tape, it's
absolutely clear.
Absolutely clear.
There is a good 1 second beat after the 3 is counted before CM Punk taps out. Now, whether or not this is a rookie mistake on Bryan's part or if it was just really, really good writing,
I think this was totally meant to happen that way. And I think it was brilliant. I think it was a great finish to that match.
Perfect.
Leaves it completely open-ended to set up the rematch, and nobody looks like a loser.
Nope. It was glorious. That match was performed to the level that we haven't seen since, I was literally saying this to myself out loud when watching it. I'm like, this is like something we used to watch Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels do.
That's like I said, definitely match of the year contender.
Goddamn awesome.
After that, they go to Teddy Long backstage, where
with a big grin on his face. I love Teddy Long.
Even Atunga show up and pretty much telling Teddy, if John Laurinaitis loses his job, you're not going to have a job. Blah blah blah. You don't think that they're just going to put you back into be Raw or SmackDown. And Teddy's like, you're absolutely right. It's like, think about this. John Laurinaitis loses his job, player. You might not have a job tomorrow.
Right. Here's the point where I've got to pose a question to you. Do you want to take a break now and then talk about John Cena and Big Johnny, or do you want to talk about it, take a break, and then go into Raw?
I'll tell you what, there's actually 2 more matches on the pay-per-view, and let's cover one of those real quick, and then we'll go ahead and take a quick break.
Let's do it.
And that match would be Camacho versus Skip Sheffield. I mean Goldberg. I mean Ryberg. I mean Ryback.
Another one of those. They didn't announce the full card before the pay-per-view, and I didn't expect to see this at all. And Camacho can wrestle.
Yeah, like you said, he's underutilized. I mean, they don't really have anything for him unless you're going to put him in a tag match with Unico, because there's no. He's a jobber. He's a low level. He's a lower, not even mid card guy. He's a low card guy. There's not much you can do with him unless you really start to elevate him, and they're not doing that. They're
not gonna, and I don't expect to see much out of him or Unico at this point until we see Sin Cara return.
True, and Ryback again, another squash match. I mean, and did you hear the crowd chanting Goldberg?
Yeah, it was kind of, and again, I don't know if this is just poor decision making or they just wanted to fill some time. Probably a little bit of both. I mean, I don't want to see Skip Sheffield. I mean Ryback. I mean Goldberg. I mean Ryback. Ryberg. That should totally be what she should be called at this point. I don't want to see him on a pay-per-view yet. He's not there. I want to see him lose a couple of times and take some beatings and develop a story, then see him squash a jobber. That's not for pay-per-view.
True that. Yeah, like I said, only after that was the Laurinaitis Cena match, but we'll talk about that here in a minute when we return.
Got some Drew McIntyre music for you, and we'll let it play and be right back.
Drawing near, you never hear the shot that takes you down. Out of time, so say goodbye. What is yours now is mine, and I dream broken dreams. I make them come true.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for hanging in there. One guy that we don't see enough on, that I'd love to see more on SmackDown, even Raw at this point, is Drew McIntyre. And I like this theme song. It's pretty decent. It's not the best one, but I figured it was good to have for a break.
And that brings us to the main event of the pay-per-view. One Mr. Johnny Laurinaitis versus John Cena. As we know, the stipulations involved. If any superstar comes down to the ring and gets involved, they will be terminated. If Johnny Ace does not win this match, he will be terminated. No disqualification, no countout, pinfall or submission win only.
Wow.
It was brutal, man. Cena beat Johnny down.
Just destroyed him.
Absolutely total domination. You know?
I don't even think there's a word to describe, because it wasn't just domination. He just got... it was ugly.
Yeah, I would say, dude, the first 12 minutes there, Johnny Ace didn't even get an offensive move in.
No.
And the only offensive move he got looked like Cena hurt himself when he was trying to chase Johnny out of the ring.
Right.
Hopped over
his arm a little bit.
Over the barrier there. That's where Johnny noticed what was going on, picked up a chair, and started working on that arm. Actually, before he picked up the chair, he was working that arm with the banging it on the railing, just banging it over that barrier.
There's a couple of good shots, but man, Big Johnny took a beating.
But after that, Cena came back, started winning again. Johnny was able to make it out of the ring, get to the back. Lo and behold, what happens? We see the Big Show. Walking Johnny Ace back, got him around by the throat. He's taking him back to the ring, And, we're all, we're thinking, all right, here's the Big Show. He's getting his retribution. Throws Johnny in the ring. He's in one corner, Cena's in the other. They've got Johnny Ace in the ring, cowering,
by the throat,
begging. This is the way he just threw it. He's begging for mercy.
Right.
Show picks him up by the throat again. He's got him. Gives a look to Cena. Cena gives him the look of, I got him.
Right.
I got it. Throws him to him. Lifts him up. Goes looking for the AA. Boom.
Weapon of mass destruction. Holy shit.
Cena is out. 1, 2, 3. Johnny Ace keeps his job and wins the match.
And even though I called Cena to win it, I do believe that last week on the podcast I told everybody that we'd see Big Show interfere in the match.
Yeah, like I said, I said it to you earlier before we started, and it was right there in front of us. The biggest stipulation being if any superstar comes down, and
it was the logical thing to do. I mean, that whole match too. It was almost how much of that was scripted and how much of it wasn't. I know that the Big Show stuff was probably scripted, but just the ugliness of that beatdown, I almost didn't want to watch it. It was you don't see that very often. The last time we saw it was Stone Cold McMahon, really.
Well, so we didn't touch on it, but in that match when Cena put him in the STF, said, "I'm going to give you 10 seconds. If you don't tap out, I will let it go."
And he let it go after 10 seconds.
And then he did it again for another 10 seconds. And granted, let's give credit where credit's due. Johnny Ace, didn't tap.
Nope.
But he wanted to.
Yeah, and after seeing the kind of crazy real fighting that we've seen out of John Cena lately, especially with Brock, seeing him just manhandle Johnny Laurinaitis like he did was just, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that kind of thing anymore. It's just, I don't know if there's a place for it. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted about that match. I like how it ended because it sets us up for a whole summer of people power shenanigans. And I'm a sucker for the heels. I've always been a sucker for heels. And I love the fact that this just, more than half the organization right now is part of people power. And it's just everything leading up from here through No Way Out through SummerSlam is just going to be ridiculous.
Yep, sure will. And, that was the pay-per-view. Brings us to Raw the next night.
Man.
Fantastic. Like I said, Raw opened up with a promo of John Laurinaitis' career. Pretty much showed a bunch of stuff from Japan, but they intertwined it with footage from the match last night. And footage from things that he's done since he's been the executive vice president in charge of, well, since he's been Raw general manager and SmackDown general manager. And it was actually a really good promo. And, Raw actually opens with Cena coming down to the ring, giving his what the hell happened speech. What the hell happened? Maybe I got a little overconfident. Maybe I was a little cocky. I get it. But what happened? How did I lose to John Laurinaitis?
Some of John Cena's best mic work in a long time. I mean, I thought his mic work for stuff that he was doing with Lesnar was phenomenal. But this was like true Cena, what the fuck? It was literally everything short of him just throwing his hands up in the air and going, what the fuck?
Yeah, because exactly, no one expected. Well, I called it. I expected John Laurinaitis to win that match, but
I think you actually got more than me as far as right answers on this past pay-per-view this time.
I still did horrible. So
we both did. I think I got
and
one.
And again, for anyone, when I pick the matches, I don't necessarily pick who I want to win. I pick who I think they're going to have win. I pick who they're going to put over. What I think is good for the business. What I think they're setting up for. If you want, like I said, in my personal opinion, I would have much rather seen Daniel Bryan win than CM Punk. But just like I said, if I give you a prediction, that's what it is. It's what I think the company themselves are going to do to further the business.
And see, this is why I like our talks and why we do this show is because I'm the exact opposite. I'm looking at it from a fan's perspective who is perfectly aware of everything going on in the business, but doesn't care. I want to see certain things happen because this is my fan, wet dream, and I get to jerk off and splooge all over the TV when I'm done watching it, if it comes true. That being said, wow, what a goddamn great Raw. And
go ahead.
So many oh shit moments. And this is how I rate when I'm watching Raw, because I'm really, really critical of Raw, being a fan of SmackDown, like such a fan of SmackDown as I am. If I go oh shit more than 3 times during a Raw episode, it's a good Raw. And I think I went oh shit maybe 5 or 6 times. Just like, oh shit! Oh shit! Not expecting these things that we were seeing. Otunga comes out, basically calling out John Cena.
Well, actually, before that even happened, before Otunga comes out, Eve comes out.
Right.
To basically introduce John Laurinaitis, who enters the ring on a little scooter, a rascal, if you will.
A little jazzy.
And basically, talks about how brave he is, and I got contusions and this and that. I took this great beating, but
the doctor said I might have fractures in my ACL, my NTV, and whatever.
But anyway, from there, he pretty much makes the announcement that from here on out, anyone who touches him physically will be terminated immediately. Which leads to him introducing the man that he rehired apparently the night before the pay-per-view.
The Big Show.
Big Show comes out, gives the "How dare you people judge me" speech.
I love a Big Show heel turn. He did it a few years ago. I don't remember exactly if it was on Raw or a pay-per-view. I love it when Big Heel turns heel. Or Big Show. Big Heel. Yeah, Big Show turns heel like that. It's great. And
yeah, well, he's a great heel. And I mean, the only reason he turned face was, he's really been face since that Knucklehead movie came out.
Pretty much.
And I think, that was the whole thing with that was that apparently backstage he's a funny guy, he's a jokester, it's kind of like his natural character. And yeah, at this point, man, it's done. What do you do with him? A guy that big, you need to have a monster heel. You need to have him just rolling over people.
Well, and People Power, Laurinaitis' crew has so many monsters right now, and I love it. I'm all in it. I think it's brilliant. It's good writing. It's great for the story. You've got to have these evil, bad characters. I mean, I'm a huge comic book nerd. All right, I read a shit ton of comics, and the best stories are the ones where you've got to overcome, the heroes have got to overcome these unbelievable odds. And these unbelievable odds are dudes like Big Show, giants like fucking Lord Tensai. Who else have we got that's huge on the People Power side? We've got...
for that, Titus O'Neil. That guy is huge.
He's a big dude. Fucking Jack Swagger. Big dude.
To Tyler Rex.
They've got all these just massive talents now, and
like I said, even you can see that it's building to a big heel versus face split. That's just how it's going to be. You're going to have your heels on one side, which is going to be the way it's looking, Cena, Sheamus,
yep.
And all the heels are going to be over on
right.
John Laurinaitis' side. But Big Show right there announces that on June 17th, he'll be facing Cena at the No Way Out pay-per-view. And that's when David Otunga comes out, challenges Cena, and dedicates his match to John Laurinaitis. And right here, I just wanted to point out, this is something about... No, I made a note of this specifically. Right. That...
I like that you take notes.
It was... From Cena's promo to the actual start, to the actual going into the match with David Otunga was 17 minutes. It was a 17... Yeah. We spent 17 minutes watching a wrestling show without a lick of wrestling.
Right.
Which happens quite frequently, but...
Especially on Raw, and especially either before or after a pay-per-view, but you know what? It was 17 riveting minutes.
Yes. It was just one of those things that I happened to notice, like, wow, man, that was really long. And I'm thinking, wow, was that even like 22 minutes? And I was like, 17 minutes? I just want to make a note of that. Anyway, the Otunga-Cena match was real quick, you know. Otunga taps out to the STF.
Well,
however...
Otunga ran around the ring a bunch before... they even touched each other. It was John Cena in the ring, Otunga out of the ring. John Cena out of the ring, Otunga in the ring. And just ran around for a good 2 minutes before there was any contact whatsoever. And I was like, come on, if you're going to call out a dude, toe-to-toe, square up.
Right.
But he did get his ass kicked.
Which led to Kurt Hawkins, Tyler Rex, Darren Young, and Titus O'Neil coming out, putting the beat down on Cena for a second. And then from nowhere, the Great White Sheamus comes out
and barreled through John Laurinaitis. And I was surprised that nobody mentioned it, because literally 10 minutes before that, Laurinaitis said, "Any superstar who lays a hand on me is going to get fired."
It's all right. Johnny Ace doesn't remember, neither do the fans.
I guess Sheamus hit him so hard he probably forgot.
Yeah, but after that, that was when the match for the headline of the night was made, which was going to be a 2-on-3 lumberjack handicap match.
Which is, I went, oh shit, the first time.
Which was apparently the first time that's ever happened on Raw. They made it a point to reiterate that many times and make sure we knew.
Well, Michael Cole reiterated that.
Oh, yes. But at this point, they hadn't announced who the opponents were going to be for Sheamus.
And we didn't find out until that match happened at the end of the night.
From there, they went into, which was a great segment. Ricardo Rodriguez was in the ring, getting ready to introduce Alberto Del Rio when he's interrupted by Santino.
I love it.
Who comes out and ironically, or not so ironically, decides to insult Ricardo's eyebrows and accent.
Have you watched any of those Foreign Exchange?
You know, I've watched a couple and didn't like them. So
I didn't watch this last one. I have watched a few, and I should just watch them because, you know, they're little 5-minute YouTube movies.
Right. Like I said, the only one of those that I really watch that I enjoy is the Are You Serious with Josh Matthews and the Road Dogg, which is more or less, it's the E kind of taking a botchamania stance and just making fun of themselves. But anyway, that happened, you know.
Lots of Santino fouling words on purpose and making fun of
rolling R's and doing things like that. Ultimately leading into giving Rodriguez the Cobra and doing Del Rio's entrance himself.
Which, a couple of commercial breaks real quick in between those two.
Actually, it was. And what those commercial breaks were what we've been talking about all night. Were about how on July 23rd, Raw is going to have its 1,000th episode.
It's a big announcement. 20 years. Almost to the date. 20 years that show has been on the air. 1,000 consecutive episodes. And what are they going to do?
They are going to become a 3-hour program.
That's huge.
It is, and on a personal note, I think that it's a bad idea. I think it's bad for business. The last company who went to a 3-hour program was WCW, and look at what happened to them. Well, I just think that 3 hours is too long of a show. You're gonna it's just too much. It's too much.
Here's how I feel about the 3 hours. Those first 2 hours are going to be solid, what we usually see in Raw. A lot of talk, some solid matchups. We'll see some spillover from SmackDown like we have been. And we've seen a lot of 3-hour episodes of Raw lately, especially in the last year.
Since they've made the Super Show.
Right, and I don't necessarily think it's too... I mean, because ultimately, with all the commercial breaks and things, it boils down to about an hour and a half of just show, which I like. I kind of dig it. Here's what you got to think about, though. USA, after 10 o'clock... they can be allowed to do more adult-themed things on the show. So I'm kind of hoping that they're going to skew some more Attitude Era sort of stuff and let things that used to happen 10, 15 years ago happen on the show that we haven't seen in 10 years because of, you know, going on earlier, being a PG show, in that last hour, it doesn't have to be PG anymore. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing if they're going to do any of that. Because we saw a little bit of it over the last couple of months.
I like where you're going with that. And if that's going to be the case, that would be great. That I could actually see. But the problem there is it's all about the
talent.
Well, it's not even about the talent. They've got the talent. And think about how many people they can bring up from FCW. People that they're...
Well,
that
they won't bring up FCW. What they're probably going to do is graduate a bunch of those dudes from Superstars and NXT that have been performing consistently.
Who were all trained from FCW, who were brought up to there to be brought up.
And
so, I mean, no matter what, it's still...
It's going to be a lot of new talent. Hopefully, it's going to be a lot of new talent. And then we're going to see some old school knuckles out, blood and guts and... hearing the words pissed off, ass, and bitch a little more in our TV shows, and they can do that after Town, USA.
It's understood, but it's all about what the McMahons want to do and how they want to present their company. And since they've become a publicly traded company on the stock and all that, that's when the whole TV 14 came in and the Attitude Era thing kind of just disappeared, and we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that.
Well, but again, the ratings that they've got when they showed blood, when they had Lesnar, talking about being pissed on, and John Cena shitting his pants and bleeping it 5 times in one promo, they were doing that in the 9 o'clock hour. They were doing that early. Now, are they going to start at 8 or are they going to start at 9? Are they going to go an hour early? Because I think Raw starts at 9, goes to 10, and then this would bring it into the 11 to midnight hour. Are they going to start at 8 and then go to 11? Or are they going to start at 9?
Raw, no matter what, always
midnight?
starts at 9 and runs till around 11:05, 11:06.
But are they going to start it at 8 now and do 2 hours of that?
That's what I would think. That would make more sense because
they could just go straight to midnight.
Makes no point to do that. Your market are kids who need to be in bed on a school night by 11 o'clock.
But we're also in the DVR era of what was I reading the other day? Like 83% of American households who have digital cable have DVRs and recording devices.
Yes, but okay, we're getting off on a tangent.
I'm just saying, for them to announce that they're going 3 hours is huge. It's something that they've never done before, other than special events. And I'm really interested to see where they're going to go, if they're going to bring up those guys from NXT, and if they're going to maybe do some more adult stuff in that last hour. That's what I'd like.
We'll see. Like I said, then there was the Del Rio Orton match, which good match. However, basically broke down into Jericho came out, attacked Orton, gave him a code breaker. Yeah, literally stood there, grabbed a mic, just screaming, telling, "I'm the best in the world at what I do."
Wasn't it 3 code breakers?
Another code breaker. Just consistently reminding him, I am the best in the world at what I do.
So it looks like we're seeing Orton and Jericho at No Way Out.
Yep.
And that'll be Jericho's last before he's on tour with Fozzy.
Yep. So
because 7 days later he's on tour?
Something like he leaves. I'm not sure, but it's close enough.
His belt stuff is out. We're just going to see some good, solid fighting. I mean, him and Orton together in the ring is brilliant every time we see it. Orton and Del Rio was a good match. It was short. It wasn't super long, but it was solid. It was good wrestling and just exactly what I expect out of Del Rio and Orton together.
Well, there's still definitely unfinished business between Del Rio and Orton from way back, since before Del Rio was injured. So expect to see that coming up sometime soon. From there, it was Daniel Bryan comes out to the ring, calls out Punk. He shows the footage from the pay-per-view the night before where he shows CM Punk tapping.
But he neglects to show that the bell had already rung.
And that his shoulders were already on there. And he demands a rematch, which, rightfully so, no matter what. I guess only if you lose the belt you're entitled to the rematch. You can't just automatically demand one if you lose. But then Punk comes out, shows footage from SmackDown the previous night with the cane chair attack where Daniel Bryan made it look like that. And then basically tells Daniel Bryan, well, that's fine, because I'd like to introduce you to your opponent for the night. Cue the fire and brimstone.
I really, really hope that Kane is on the face side of People Power. That, it's that, the Cena, Sheamus, Punk, Kane, that's who we're going to see fighting against People Power.
Hopefully, I think Christian will be on that.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know, I love seeing Kane wrestle. I'm never going to get tired of it. I said it earlier. I'm never going to get tired of it. And shades of what we saw on SmackDown, Punk pulled some chair trickery.
He did. Punk actually, Punk came down, did commentary.
He's great
for the match.
I would be perfectly happy to see Punk do commentary every week.
Absolutely, dude, I loved when they still had the Raw general manager on the computer, and it was Michael Cole gone or was the King gone? But regardless, if they had CM Punk coming out, it was during that feud.
I think it was both of them still there, but they just had CM Punk out there because I think Josh Matthews was out.
I don't remember what
because they've had 3 on the mic for a while.
Don't remember what the thing behind that was, but regardless, Punk was great when you come out in the sport coat. Come out, make little quips that, for total kayfabe stuff, stuff like mentioning Colt Cabana, mentioning just weird wrestling terms that if you don't know, you're not gonna know what he's talking about.
And him and Lawler together are hilarious, because there's so much respect there, it's so much history, and them playing off of each other against Cole is glorious every time. Love hearing it.
But Kane wins with the choke slam. Punk goes into the ring to check, make sure that Daniel Bryan's okay. Just wants to make sure he's doing all right. But you know what? He had to throw that Anaconda Vice on him. Had to do it. Daniel Bryan he's tapping. Punk's like, lets him go, leaves the ring. Just more or less just proving the point that you want to play this game? I can make you tap too.
I can't wait for this next pay-per-view.
It's gonna be good, man. Like I said.
Do you think they're gonna throw him in a cage, or are they just gonna free wrestle?
I think that'll definitely happen.
Maybe it's submissions only?
Like I said, I really think that they're going to push this to possibly an Iron Man match. I think that's the way this is going to go. Like I said, there's something I mentioned to you earlier, which I'm not going to talk about here. But like I said, I really think that's what they're going to set up to. The cage thing for next month, I don't think it'll be them. I think that'll probably be the Cena Big Show match will probably somehow get put into a cage. Or what I think might happen is you might get your Triple H Lesnar. That way they can throw that in.
Is Triple H going to be well enough to fight? Do you think?
Well, yeah, that's like I said.
Or are they going to push him back to SummerSlam?
Well, I said to you earlier off of the air here that I don't know if they would put Triple H into 2 cage matches within 3 months. Where I think that it might be better to do the thing with them at SummerSlam. But
here's the thing, though, with that match with The Undertaker. The Hell in a Cell didn't really have a whole lot of sway in that match as much as, Shawn Michaels, trying to get Undertaker to stop.
Right.
I could talk an hour about that match alone.
Right. No matter what, people need to remember that really wasn't a 2-person match. Nope. Shawn Michaels has just as much to do with that match as Taker and Triple H.
But, like I said, the Hell in the Cell match, the Cell didn't have anything to do with the match. I wouldn't be surprised if they did put Lesnar and Triple H in a cage of some sorts for that match. It seems like a good idea. They haven't talked about any of that.
No, they won't. But what they do talk about next is they do a recap of the Triple H Paul Heyman stuff from the week before.
I love it.
It's great. It was great. I mean, there's not much to say. As long as you saw the episode of the shows last week, you know what's going on with that.
I would have loved to see Heyman again, or even just Triple H coming out and addressing it. We didn't see either of those things, but it was a great promo. And the caliber of the promos lately have gone way up over the last, at least since right before WrestleMania.
Absolutely, but you also got to look at the people they're giving promo time to. John Cena.
Yep.
Paul Heyman.
Yep.
The Rock. Triple H.
Best in the business.
Right. You're not, but they're not Punk. Daniel Bryan is good, but even still, he's not on caliber with those guys that I just mentioned.
Not yet.
Randy Orton, great, and I would almost put him up with there, but
I think I would at this point. Orton's one of the best of the best. He's future Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, absolutely. But it's just a matter of look at who they're giving the promo time to, and how can you not expect great promos for those folks?
Well, and just not just the promos themselves, but the overall production. I've been impressed well too, and I'm kind of that production nerd. I like to pay attention to the things that are happening, in the back, or the guys who are running the music, or the fun little things that they've been able to do to those promos over the last couple of years. The quality of them has gone way up, especially since WrestleMania. I like to see it. I don't necessarily like that they use it for filler on Raw and SmackDown so much, especially on SmackDown where there's a good solid 10 minutes of promos from Raw.
Well, it brings me back to what I was saying at the beginning of the Raw recap here is 17 minutes of promo to start off
and
the show.
we're going to see at least 10 of that on Friday on SmackDown.
Right. I mean, there's all sorts of people, there's all sorts of wrestling podcasts that cover that type of thing too, where it's like, this week on Raw, there was only 18.3 minutes of actual wrestling on the show.
And that's not what we necessarily want to cover, but we got to mention it sometimes.
Right. I mean, like I said, I think that I wish there was a good dynamic. I love the shows when there is a good dynamic, where there's a good amount of wrestling, there's a good amount of promos, and you're not trying to sell anything else in between. You're not trying to, I don't need to know that Big Show got fired 3 times in the same episode. Right. Just as an example.
Give it to me once. Give me. I mean, if you're gonna do pre-recorded promos over and over and over again, give me new ones. Give me stuff to further other storylines from some of the young up and comers. I want to see some promos from some of the new tag dudes. I want to see, give me some promos from goddamn superstars or NXT for fuck's sake.
Right, I'd almost rather you throw one of those matches on and go, this is what happened over here, as opposed to showing me...
Right, because they're 4 minutes.
The same John Cena Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I get it, and I think that's a great thing, and I'm not bagging on that by any stretch. It's just...
I'd rather...
You play that same 4-minute reel every week.
And, 15 years ago, we would see a 4-minute jobber match instead of 10 minutes of commercials and promos, of pat ourselves on the back for 5 minutes, and then a pre-recorded promo from something that happened a week ago. We did used to see lower card guys come out, have 4 minutes, get the job done, get out, set up for whatever's coming next. Maybe that's what we're going to see more of once Raw goes 3 hours.
Speaking of jobbers, or at least in my mind, next up we had Jinder Mahal.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that this match happened.
Versus Christian.
Why? What?
I think just to...
fill time?
Not so much fill time. I think, anybody that might not have seen the pay-per-view would not know that Christian won the Intercontinental belt, especially since it was from the way he got to that match was from an unannounced match that was shown pre-show on YouTube.
Right, but here's what I don't understand. We could have at least had a Cody Rhodes promo. We didn't see Cody.
No, not at all.
And usually when you lose, you come out the next night, you talk a bunch of shit for 5 minutes, and then you either get a backstage response or, whoever...
Something must have happened, because now that I'm thinking about it, we'll get to it at the end. I don't remember seeing Cody at the end of the night either.
I don't, and I wouldn't be surprised if, A, they just are giving him a couple of weeks off, or B, he might have gotten hurt and we just didn't see it.
Right. Anyway, peeps win. That's how they roll.
Right.
But, and again, like Jinder Mahal, that guy annoys me. And I'm sick of hearing Michael Cole every week talk about the turban or whatever it is you want to call it. Sorry.
It's a symbol of wealth.
It takes 17 hours and 13 weeks to wrap that, and he has one for every day.
It shows his class, his status amongst his people. It's a sign to be respected. Okay, we get it. It goes in a glass case. He's a pretty good wrestler, but it was a squash.
Right, and again, he's one of those people, like, you talk about characters, okay? Something that that's a character that you can't do much with. It's so one-dimensional that no matter how big you could make that guy right this minute, in another year and a half, his character would be irrelevant. It's
completely irrelevant. If he's going to keep using that gimmick, he's going to be jobbing with Santino. He's going to be jobbing with, God, I don't want to say it, with Wade Barrett or, Drew McIntyre the rest of his career.
When Wade Barrett comes back, they are not going to let him job. They are going to bring him back and bring him back strong.
They better change his entrance music again back to something cool instead of that crappy little punk rock song that just sucked.
Yeah.
And let him just destroy, because he is so good on the mic. He's got such great in-ring skills. I can't wait to see Wade Barrett come back.
Next up was the Divas match between Kelly.
I didn't even watch it. To be honest with you, I was eating dinner and it was on, and I was just listening in the background to see who won, because Kelly is beautiful.
Okay, let's make this. Then I'll just go ahead and make this real quick. Jerry the King Lawler reminds us 3,000 times in 30 seconds that Kelly is once again on the Maximum Hot 100 list for the year. Blah blah blah.
Big surprise.
Yeah, Beth wins the match.
Big surprise.
They cut to Layla backstage watching on the backstage monitor. kind of
Did she even say anything? Because I came in literally as they were switching to the next match.
Nothing. Literally just cut to her backstage, watching it on the monitor, being like, all right,
I'm just tired of Kelly. She's good looking. She's not very good in the ring.
She's definitely a lot better than she was, man.
No, definitely. She's got 3 more moves than she used to.
True.
So she's at least got that over Alicia Fox.
Whoa. Are we going to do this again?
This might be a running theme.
Foxy Baby can wrestle, man. They just don't let her.
All right.
I'm going to show you matches where Alicia Fox actually wrestles.
Fine, I'll watch them. Until she starts doing that on Raw and Smackdown.
I'm sorry.
And that theme song of hers drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's horrible. I definitely agree with that. Last match of the night, it was the Cena Sheamus Swagger Dolph Tensai.
Holy shit!
Handicap lumberjack match where
that was my third holy shit of the night.
Yes, we're actually that we find out that the opponents were going to be Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, and Lord Tensai.
And then my fourth holy shit of the night was seeing the lumberjacks,
which were all the heels in the locker room,
all the people power.
Almost everybody was out there. Like I said, I don't remember seeing Cody, but Jericho was out there. You had top guys mixed in with your jobbers, your mid cards. They brought everybody out, and it was really good match in ring because you've got at least 4 dudes. Again, Lord Tensai he's shown me nothing, and you can say what you want about Cena, but he gets the job done.
He does get the job done. Sheamus got a beat down, and I was watching this one point. Lord Tensai tried picking Sheamus up and executing a body slam. Lord Tensai doesn't have upper body strength at all. He couldn't pick up Sheamus. Sheamus could certainly pick him up and slam him, but it was an ugly slam. It was really close to the corner. It didn't look good. I would have put somebody else in there instead of Tensai. I really would have.
Well, again, they're pushing him for whatever reason. I mean, personally,
the gimmick sucks. I don't like it.
In 3 weeks, within the next 3 weeks, Lord Tensai will not be getting pushed. He will be back. He will be on Superstars.
Either he's not going to get a push, or they're going to change him into something else. Go back to A-Train for fuck's sake.
Can't do it. They can't revert back to that. That's just can't be done. Anyways, the match continues. Cena's in the ring. Sheamus was in the ring for quite a long time.
A good portion of that match.
Was finally able to get the hot tag to Cena. Cena comes in, does a few things, and from there, the lumberjacks just swarm Sheamus. They attack him, pull him off the ring apron, and just start going to town. Cena turns around, notices this.
My fifth oh shit moment.
Dives out of the ring. Something you don't see from John Cena. You don't see John take the...
And it was quick, too. It didn't look like it was something that was supposed to happen. It looked like Cena saw it and was like, holy shit, I got to do something. And just bam. It did not look like that was scripted at all. He just went for it. And I was throwing my hands up in the air. Lord was sitting here next to me because it was the last match and I hadn't watched it yet. Little my hands up in the air. Was, oh shit, did you just see that?
And, which I neglected to mention a minute ago was Big Show had come out.
Yeah.
He was standing at top of the ramp, just kind of watching what was going on in the ring. Like I said, right from there, after the heels are attacking Sheamus and Cena, the rest of the locker room empties out. Here come the good guys.
All
Here come
the
the
good
faces.
guys.
Everyone's there.
It was awesome.
They come running past Big Show.
And I was like, where are they? Literally 30 seconds before they came out, I'm like, Lloyd, where are they at? They're going to come out.
I do just want to point out one other thing about that. As we mentioned, that we know Cody was not there.
Yep.
Everybody else came out to help them except for Randy Orton. Randy Orton was not in that ring.
Yeah. That's the Viper, though. He doesn't pick sides, and we've never seen him pick sides ever. I don't think, and since he's been in Legacy, he hasn't picked a side. I can't recall one time or another. He's neither a heel nor a face. I
know you can see me running it through my brain.
Right.
I'm like trying to. I know that it's got to have happened.
It's got to have happened, but I can't recall it. If it happened being any sort of importance.
Right. I could think maybe a Team Raw, Team SmackDown thing, but that's not really a choice of making.
No, it's not. But
I stand on this side. I'm with you. I have your back.
That's the Viper we expect, though. He can go off at any minute to anybody, But he's got the voices in his head.
So that pretty much turns into a complete melee inside the ring, outside the ring. Everybody's going at it. Faces and heels, bodies are everywhere. Cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
And Cena starts taking a look around for Big Show. He's going looking for him.
Yep.
Runs up the ramp into the backstage.
Runs into John Laurinaitis.
Runs into Johnny Ace, and it's like, "Where's Big Show?" And Johnny just looks at him and is like, "If you touch me, you're fired." Typical thing. Starts walking away. John Cena turns around, and literally, as he turns around one more time,
last oh shit moment
bam,
of the night.
weapon of mass destruction out of nowhere, and it was sick, man. That looked like Cena got knocked out by the Big Show.
And you heard it. It was probably the loudest WMD we've ever heard on TV. Cena hit the ground, and then they fade to black. It was real quick. Yeah, it was scripted. It probably was meant to go out like that, but holy shit, did it look good. Holy shit, it looked good. Holy shit, that was a good episode of Raw.
That's the way to come back from a pay-per-view. And what I like about the pay-per-view coming up this month is, it seems we're at that point in the year where the pay-per-views happen rather quickly.
Yep.
Whereas because you get a shorter month in February,
yep.
Mania's got to be at a certain point every year.
Yep. Between this one is going to be actually 4 whole weeks this time, and then after that, SummerSlam in August. At the end of August, that's going to be the longest.
I think that's almost like a 6-week layover.
Close.
In between.
It'll be pretty close. So there's going to be a lot of action on these shows weekly that we're going to talk about. I don't really have any predictions for what's going to happen on SmackDown. They really didn't touch on much.
Well, no, I mean, they even still do that coming back from pay-per-views. They'll wait till SmackDown to do the end of we'll see what Sheamus is going to be getting himself into. Who they're going to start to set that up with. We're going to see probably Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, where that's going to start to head to going into the next pay-per-view. Tag team right now, I don't know what they're going to do with Kofi and Truth. I don't know who to bring up now to step that up with them.
They're going to need to lose the belts first. I think there's got to be some kind of major upset.
Titus O'Neil and Darren Young will win the belts on Friday.
You think so?
If that match happens, absolutely, but
I'd like to see it.
I was about to say, just so anyone knows, I just realized that it is Tuesday, and
we can check and see the
this is spoiler free. Yes, this is just a guess. So if this winds up happening, consider me psychic.
Right? Yeah, SmackDown's going to be great on Friday. I can't wait. I'll probably try to watch it earlier, but you know how that goes. God, what else is going on? Anything you can think of in the news this week that needs to be covered, wrestling-wise?
Not off the top of my head. I'm sure there's stuff, but it's been a busy week for me. I'm actually a little behind on my dirt sheet type stuff. So
yeah,
and I think we pretty much covered everything that has gone on. Like I said, it was a busy weekend for wrestling.
Really, all the push notifications I got from Bleacher Report to my iPad were just stuff that happened at the pay-per-view. I didn't really see anything that caught my eye otherwise. Man, it was a good weekend for wrestling.
Absolutely.
Can't wait till we see a little bit more of it. You know, we're going to keep tweaking this show week in, week out, trying to add a little bit more production. Hopefully, you know, within the next couple of weeks, I might actually splurge for a decent microphone. Listening back to this last week's one, I listened to it a couple of times just to check, and I thought it sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I think, like I said, for a first time, fantastic.
You know, we're always going to try to improve week in, week out. I will be setting up probably a Tumblr account and an email for us to post things that we like, whether it's promo clips, you know, news clippings, things that either of us can have access to and throw it up. We're probably going to get... I don't know if I want to start a Twitter or not, but I'll definitely have a Gmail account that, you know, once we get some people listening, they can write in questions or mention things that we fucked up on the show. Maybe we fucked something up, and you know,
very true.
Things need to be mentioned.
One of the two of us is usually a little cloudy headed. We'll just leave it at that. And that one would be me, so there's no confusion.
Yes, one of us likes to be a little more informed than the other, or sometimes the information just.
Oh, I'm in cloudy headed by my pre-show rituals.
Right. Anyway, it comes to this point in the show where we start the end music, and I think I'm going to keep doing the DX end music.
Yeah, I think that's great for right now
because I love it. Maybe I'll let Lloyd pick the entrance theme next week. I've been doing it. I just wanted to hear the Bret Hart music at the beginning of the show. Once again, Kayfabe Kommandos. I'm Bern. That is Lloyd.
That's me. Thanks a lot for listening, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Break it down. Degenerate into something full. We
you can tell me what to do? You know who you're talking to?